Well, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel now. Today I've been persuaded by my youthful assistant that we should really see if the little 1932 Morris Minor can be fired up. It's been many years since that last ran. I think probably the first video on the channel was some very grainy old footage of that engine running. But 13 years later, will it still work? Well, let's go and find out. So here it is now. If you're fairly new to the channel, you may not really have seen much about this car. So just a quick summary. This is a 1932 Morris Minor, little two-seat tourer, the £100 car. It was advertised as back in the day. This is a side valve powered car. And quite a few years ago I used to run a 1934 Morris Minor saloon until we outgrew that, and that's when my little Dodge had to be bought. But yeah, this one has been with us, what, about 13-14 years now, something like that. There's a photo of a very young Hmmmm in the back of our then Volvo V70 when we went to go and collect this. So it's been in and around the place for quite a long time, and yeah, it's not run for at least 10-12 years, something like that, so it'd be quite nice just to see if it'll still go. I have turned it over fairly regularly on the handle, but yeah, it'd be just nice to see if it will run, and my youthful assistant has been pestering me for quite a while now to see if it'll actually go. So I'm interested, and I'm quite curious myself. So I think the first thing we need to do is get rid of all this stuff that's piled up inside it and find somewhere to put that. You're on the job, are you? And then yeah, jolly good. He has his uses. If you just stack it behind the truck over there, just put it on the floor gently over there. I don't want to scratch anything. Yeah, the lady I bought this from many moons ago, she'd actually been given this as her 21st birthday present in the 1960s, and she bombed around in this until I think the early 1970s, something like that. Then she probably bought something a little bit more usable. We bought it in about 2010 or thereabouts, somewhere around there, 2009, 2010, something like that. You get it? That's the original radiator shell. It's a bit damaged, but there is another one hanging up over there which I bought many moons ago. No, just no. So it does need a fair bit of work still. And the idea was always to sort of keep it looking fairly original, because if you're going to go and repaint it, it would be a full strip down and a huge amount of work. Whereas I mean, this green isn't original to it. I think when it was brand new, when I look at the logbook, it shows it black. Yeah. It's been there a while. Yeah, but it's been there since probably the 1950s, I would have thought, something like that. So it's sort of mellowed and settled in by now. There are a few little repairs to do on the body. A friend of mine, he made up some sills, which are in there somewhere. Not quite sure where they are, but they're in there somewhere. So he made up some sills, and they're only tacked on to the ash frame that's underneath, so they're nice and simple to fit. The body had just rusted away at the bottom here, so many years ago I chopped that off, and I did actually make up some repair panels, so they're all ready to go back on. So yeah, there's work to do, but it's not beyond hope. The chassis is quite good on it. The body's okay. That's the worst bit of the body, actually. That is there's like a shroud thing that goes between the front chassis irons and round here, and the hole in the middle there is for the starting handle, which goes in there. So that would sit on the chassis, something like that. But as you can see, it's pretty rusty. It's rusted away where the radiator surround goes. It obviously got damp underneath, and that will need either fixing up or replacing. If anyone's got one of these panels off a 32 Morris Minor, please drop me a line either in the comments on this video or via the Old Classic Car website, because it would be nice to find a better one of those. Anyway, I can start to see the floor now.
Don't put it back in.
That's where the battery goes, down under the driver's posterior. There's a dashboard, it's all there, it's still got the key in ignition. So yeah, and we'll also lift the bonnet off. That's only loosely in place, so we can take that off, and that'll just make life a whole lot easier to get at that mighty side valve 4-cylinder engine that's hiding away underneath. You alright there, young man?
Living the time of my life.
Living the dream. It's only sat on, it's just a really awkward thing to move. Grab the back end of it. back like that way. Fold it up and then put it over here. Oh, there we go. That makes it a lot easier to work on. So, as I mentioned recently in the Dodge pickup video, when I was trying to persuade that to run, you really want three things. You need spark at the right time from over here. There's a distributor. There's the coil. You need fuel air mix from the carburetor over that side. And in the middle, you need a bit of compression to draw that fuel air mix in, and then so that the spark is it free? Is the piston free inside? Yeah, I think I did clean that up a little while ago. So I think what we'll try and do is we'll check for a spark first. So we'll get that 6-volt battery, which is down here. So we'll whiz that on down there, and we'll just check to see if we're getting any spark at the points. And if that's okay, we will rig up a gravity fuel feed rather than, I mean, it's got a 6-volt SU pump, which is correct I think for Morris's of that era, but they rarely work if they've been sat for years. So I think what we'll do is we'll just set up a gravity feed from here straight into the carburetor, and then just see if by spinning it over, assuming in the starter mode still works, which I don't know, and we'll just see if anything shows any signs at all of wanting to run. We found the quick release cap of it. Right, so first things first, let's get that battery on. Right, what I'm going to do is, these are a very handy thing indeed. This is a battery terminal cleaner, and that in there you can be used just to clean these up. So you get to the terminal, I hope you can see that, and you give it a bit of a go round.
So it's like a wire brush on
it's like it's like a wire brush, and it's springy loaded, so it really does a good job of cleaning up the terminals. So we'll just give those a quick go over. So that's okay. And you can also unscrew this if that comes apart. Then it's got like a bristly brush, so you can clean the inside of the actual connectors themselves. Being a very old car, this is on positive earth, it's never been changed. So we've got the earth lead there going straight to the chassis. So we'll clean both those up, connect them up, and then we'll try the key and just see if there's any light on the dash. There is an ignition light on there, but whether it still works or not is anybody's guess. Now, just to correct myself, just to prove that none of this is planned, when I actually look at it, the small terminal, the small connector there, which goes to earth, is actually for the negative. So this has been converted at some point in time. It would have been positive earth originally, and you can see the much larger, I don't know if you can actually focus on this, but the much larger terminal there compared to that one, that goes on the positive. So it has actually been upgraded to negative earth, which was something that was fairly common on cars sort of late 50s, 1960s onwards, but not on pre-war cars. But it wasn't unknown, it wasn't uncommon for them to be modified and switched over, so clearly that's been the case with this one. So we'll have to whiz that round and get that connected up as it should be. And the spanner du jour, spanner of the day, is this British made Shelley. How cool is that? 1/4 inch Whitworth. That's what we like to see, just perfect for tightening up the connectors on the battery. But yeah, I think that needs a bit of oily ragging. Always need to have really good connections, especially on the 6-volter, where you need everything in your favour. Okay. Well, I've not heard any fizzing, or there's no plumes of smoke from anywhere, so it should be alright at the moment. So there's the ignition key over there, so let's see if there's any signs of life. There's a red ignition light there. There is a dull glow.
Oh, I need to see the dull glow.
You need to see the dull glow.
Is it a lovely glow?
It's a dull glow.
Whoa.
So if you turn it off and on, you'll see it slowly glow into life.
That is a nice glow.
So there are signs of life in there somewhere. Right, okay, if you switch it off again.
Never down to it.
Right, let's whiz the dizzy cap off and then we can have a look in there, see what the points are looking like.
There you go.
Nicely done. Right, cap off. So, ignition on. Just turn that. Right. So what we're looking for is a spark over the points, which are here. I'm not sure if you can really see this, but they're in there. So if we open and close this, we're looking for a little spark between those 2 points. I can hear a slight...
Look a bit corroded there.
Yeah, I think we'll clean those up. I can hear something, a little ticking, but there's no spark there. So I think we'll just give those a quick clean up, see if we can do it in situ without taking them off.
Bit.
If we take the light away, and just if you turn the torch away, and then I can hear a slight spark.
I saw a little bit in between the middle bit and where your spanner was, but not.
Yeah, all right, we'll give
where
those.
You were looking for it.
We'll give those a quick clean then. Right, I think we've got a bit of a spark. It's a bit awkward to do single-handedly, but let's see what we can do. It's probably not going to focus very well, but you might hear it if nothing else. There's a nice healthy spark there now. So what we'll do is we'll just give the rotor arm a quick clean up. Where are we? There we are. Give that a quick clean up. It's not too bad. And we'll just check the contacts inside here, inside the distributor cap itself, because that distributes the spark to the plugs over there via these red, very, very red HT leads. So yeah, we'll just do that now. You're in charge of lighting.
I am, yes.
You're doing a brilliant job. Right, we've gone through various bits of old hose and rigged up a temporary fuel supply. Obviously this isn't the recommended way of doing things. Nothing on the channel is an endorsement, and yeah, this certainly isn't a recommendation, but it'll do just to sort of send a little bit of fuel in the direction of the carburettor. And obviously this depends a little bit on whether the carburettor's clean inside. We did clean it up many years ago, but obviously you don't really know if that's still the case now. So I'll go and get a dribble of fuel and just put a drop down there and see if there are any signs of life at all in the Morris's engine. Alright, well I've put a drop of jungle juice in the funnel there, so I'll just put a drip down, hopefully to fill up the float chamber in the old SU carburettor down there. We've got a spark. Well, it's getting quite as far as the plug, so I haven't checked that, but let's just see what happens. Right, if you turn the ignition on, make sure it's in neutral.
Yep.
Let's just see if there are any.
Press it with my hand.
You should be able to. Let's just come around this side. Alright, go on then, just give it a spin over and just see if there's anything going on. Yeah, try and do it with your foot then.
A bit easier.
Yeah.
A bit awkward.
Look. Where's the throttle? There it is.
Pressure.
Oops, the throttle thing's come off. Hang on a sec. Right, that's the linkage thing came off, but it's back on now. It's like a spring-loaded thing. Let me just put some more petrol in. Let me just put. Enjoyed my trip. Right, let's put a bit more fuel in. Oops. Right. Let me get over this side. There is a fire extinguisher nearby, just in case you're interested. Right, go on then, give it another go. I'll try not to get my knee in the way of anything. Just keep your foot on it. Alright. Hey, she runs, sort of. Let's have a look. I wasn't sure if it would go actually because the battery probably needs charging up.
Sorry, it's just really awkward to
Yeah.
the starter.
Right, let's put a drop more. Let's put a drop more fuel in. Where did I put it?
Was that the fuel running out then?
Yeah, probably. Are you able to sit in it? Like sit on that floor thing? Are you able to sit in there a bit?
Just take out these little windows.
Yeah.
Is it one of those ones where you need to press the accelerator a bit, or is that not
Probably.
like putting the fuel straight into the car anyway?
Well, you just do whatever it needs, really.
Everything.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've got my scruffs.
Yeah. So if you just sit in as if you're sit on whatever you can sit on, preferably behind the battery.
I don't know if we can have those luxuries.
Well, I think it's a sensor throttle on this, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll sit in the middle bit then. Sit somewhere over there. Yeah, that'll be alright.
Let me get some of these things.
Not as flexible as you used to be.
I'm in my prime physical condition at the moment.
Is that right? Right, okay.
Yeah, I can just about get everything in.
Right, well if it starts, just give it a little bit of accelerator.
Let me take out these.
Keep an eye on the oil pressure gauge. Yeah, just leave those. But just keep an eye on the oil pressure gauge. Okay, which is the second one across. Yeah,
These out.
yeah, just leave those. Right. Right. So just have a look on the oil pressure gauge if it starts.
Okay.
So,
What am I looking for? About the middle?
well, just something really, anything.
Okay.
Right. Okay, give it a go. It may just. And try and catch it on the throttle if it'll. Is there any oil pressure?
Quite a bit.
Doesn't sound too bad. Try and keep it going.
Got a bit of smoke coming in here.
Bit of smoke. That's a good sign. I don't think there's much exhaust on it.
Well, it's coming through there, so
Is it?
maybe.
Alright, that's alright. Don't worry about that. Well, yeah. I think there is an exhaust on it, sort of.
Somewhere.
Yeah, there's a bit of an exhaust. Yeah. Yeah. Right, well, give it another go. Like I say, just keep an eye on the oil pressure gauge. Will it keep going, or
That was me on the throttle and still cut out, so...
is the choke still on? Is it still out?
Where's the choke on this? Is it this one here?
So left hand.
Yeah, it is.
Is it still on? Is it? All right, we'll just try and keep it going on the throttle if you can. Okay, alright, just give us a second. Let's just. Where did I put the fuel? I'm not even sure where I put it now. It's over here. So organised. It sounds like it's out of fuel. Let's just put a dribble in. It's all a bit Heath Robinson this. If you saw the Talbot video that I did a couple of years back, I love the old Talbot that we used to own. We went through a similar process with that, and that hadn't run since 1976. So, right, okay, give it another go. Well, it's not so keen now. we'll just, okay, give it a rest for a minute. It maybe it's a bit flooded, so I think we'll take the plugs out, give the battery a bit of a breather, just see if the plugs are wet, clean them up, because I've not checked those actually. I should have probably checked those, but anyway, it seems like there are encouraging signs of life in this little side valve engine. But yeah, okay, we're just going to whiz these plugs out and have a quick look at them now. Just like agile as a gazelle, sprinting out.
It's not an easy thing to get out of.
Is it not?
Turn the ignition off.
Yeah, ignition off. What do you mean it's not easy to get out of? Someone.
Have you tried sitting on, sort of straddled over a battery and a gearbox and
Yes.
boxes?
Yes, I have. Right.
All sorts.
Anyway, less talk, but less waffle, please. Well, the first plug out is a little bit damp, and you'll notice it's actually got adapters on it. So it's got later Champion plugs. What are they? N5s, but they're actually, because the plugs that would have originally been fitted in this head are these fat plugs there. So clearly at some point someone decided to use much newer plugs, but to do that they needed to put them into these adapters. So that's just an interesting little thing. I did do a video a little while ago all about collecting spark plugs, which was met with a sea of apathy, but no, actually did quite well. So they are actually quite interesting things in their own right, spark plugs, but I don't think I'll go into them here. But anyway, we're just going to whiz them all out. This one looked damp but not sodden. It wouldn't harm to clean them up a little bit and just to sort of stack as many things as possible in our favour as we possibly can do, because it always helps. Once again he leaps into place. Right, you see what you're doing?
No, but I can feel accelerator start, that's all I need.
Yeah, bit of ignition, bit of choke. Is the choke actually working? Let me just have a look. If you just...
Is this already out?
Here, just push it in again. Okay, and on again. Yeah, that is working. Right, I'll give it another go. Tell you what, just put the choke off and put your foot on the accelerator. I'll do the accelerator.
Oh, okay.
So if you just put the choke off for a sec, I'll do the accelerator from here. Okay? Okay, give it a go then. Okay. Alright, put the choke back on then. Alright, go on then. Seems odd that it did run, but now it won't. I wonder if the points have closed up, but just try it again briefly. Okay. Alright, okay. Alright, we'll have another look at the points just to see if they've closed up a bit. They may well have done. The other thing to check sometimes, which I've had before, which is a bit of an odd one to try and diagnose, the little centre bush in the middle of the cap there, which connects to the top of the rotor arm as it spins around. Sometimes, because it's on the spring, it can work its way back into the depths of the cap, and it actually loses contact with the rotor arms. So I had this on a Volvo Amazon once. Every now and again it just goes to a halt, so you'd have to pull over, whip the dizzy cap off, and just carefully pull that down a little bit, just so that it reconnects with the rotor arm, and then you'd be good, and off you go again. So I'm just wondering if it's possibly something like that's happened, but I'm going to have a quick look at the points and just make sure they're still okay. Right, so I've given those a quick clean up. The spark wasn't very good at all, so I've cleaned that up a little bit. And the other thing to remember is when you're doing, if you're just cleaning them up in situ like that, after you've finished with the sandpaper, just fold the little bit of emery paper or whatever you're using the other way around, so you've just got the paper, and just run that through as well, and that just gets rid of any bits of grit that might be on the surfaces. And the other thing I meant to mention is, of course, on a car this age, you've got a manual advance and retard, which is this lever, a little lever there, where are we? There, on the top. So that one there, which you can just about see, well probably not, there's a little A at the top. for advance. So what you do is when you're starting, you put it on retard, and then as soon as you're up and running, you put it on advance, and that moves the distributor. So if I operate that, I'll just put that down there, you can see it turns the distributor. So it's on full retard at the moment, which is what you want it for starting. Right, let's give it another go. But I will just check to make sure the points are actually opening and closing, as well as the spark. Of course, you have to check that there's a gap when the points should be opening. Alright, go on then, ignition on.
Do I need any throttle?
Just try it as it is. I'll stand over here. Just a little bit. Oil pressure. Smoky. Just try advancing it a bit now. Okay, it's not bad. Now I've advanced it a bit. Yeah, but don't forget it hasn't run in years. We don't want it running too long because there's no coolant in it. Try putting the choke in a bit. Oops. That's not too bad, considering there's not much exhaust on it. That's alright, that sounds alright, that does. That doesn't sound bad at all, but yeah, switch it off now, because we don't want it too warm. Yeah, it's alright.
Oh, that is fuming.
Yeah, it'll be alright. We'll just let it clear.
Like
I say, we won't let it run too long, because there's no coolant in it. I mean, there's no water pump, so there's no pump to run dry, so that's okay. But yeah, alright, we'll come outside for a bit and just get a bit of fresh air.
Yeah.
Well, I was quite pleased with that. It actually sounded reasonable, considering there's only half an exhaust on it. And it hasn't run for 12, 13 years, something like that. That was pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. Obviously I haven't run with fuel in the tank, because the tank will have to come off, and yeah, just do the usual stuff, checking the fuel lines, all that kind of thing, and just make it, you know, it starting is a long way away from being a reliable runner. But it's good to hear it run and just remind myself exactly, you know, what the engine appears to be like. I don't remember any major issues when it ran last time, but you never quite know. And at least there's good oil pressure. That's quite important. I did change the oil when I had it running years ago, so I knew that the oil was okay. I checked the level before we started playing. But yeah, you know, I thought that was just a bit of fun for a Saturday morning, just to have a bit of a play and see if this would actually run. It'd be nice to get it to a position where you can just chuck a battery on and you can run it, so at least if you're, you know, for moving it around in and out of the garage, like yesterday we had a bit of a move around and we have to push it everywhere, which is a bit of a shame. So it'd be nice to have it where with just a couple of minutes work it can just be fired up and moved under its own steam, because that's a lot better. But yeah, it seemed to be quite healthy. This engine isn't the same as the Morris 8 that came later, but obviously it's very similar, still a 4-cylinder side valve. I can't remember the capacity of it, but it's not huge. I'm guessing it's 800, 900 cc, something like that. It's not a very big engine at all, but it's only a little car, so it doesn't really need a big engine. Anyway, that was that, and that was quite exciting. So in the answer to the question, will it start, will the Morris Minor start, the answer is yes, amazingly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this short video. That was all good fun, quite enjoyed doing that. Please check out the rest of the channel while you're here. There are quite a few will it start type videos on here, like I said before. Yes, yeah. There's always a bit of a question mark over some of them whether they'll go, but the best one probably so far has been the Talbot video. That was a lot of fun to do. That was a couple of 2 or 3 years ago, whenever that was. And there was the Prefect and the Morris 8 as well, and now the Morris Minor. Anyway, please take a look round, and there'll be more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now.